balancing work and trying to grow a business, but also having that quality time. And I think even if it's shorter amounts of time, making it, all about the quality and really being present makes up for having larger like periods of time where you're not really present.
If you're not conscious about your investment strategy, you won't end up where you want to be, not financially or as a human. On this show, we interview highly successful investors and share how they overcame limitations to become unstoppable forces of success. If you're ready to learn what it is to be a conscious investor so you can end up where you want, keep listening.
Conscious investor, welcome back. I'm always grateful to have you here. And if you haven't already, liked, subscribed, shared, all those wonderful things to support the show, just take a moment and do that right now, because every one of you makes a significant difference. And did you know we have, I think, 180 reviews right now, 5-star reviews. And that's because of you taking time. And just a reminder, that is just wind beneath my wings. And I am so grateful for that. I don't want to waste another moment talking about anything other than diving into this powerful conversation. Every once in a while, we're able to have a husband-wife duo come onto the show. And I'm always grateful. And if you happen to be a husband-wife duo, powerhouse investing couple, please reach out to me, because we all need those role models in our life. And today I'm joined by my friend Ryan and his wife, Sarah, and they happen to also live in North Idaho. And they also happen to have some California roots to them, which is a little bit, on the fringe up here in North Idaho. Sometimes we get a turned eye, a little side eye look because of that. But you know what? We're here and we're doing great things in North Idaho. Ryan, Sarah, so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
So I'm really excited. You guys both have such amazing backgrounds. And I'm just wondering if we could dive in and just bring the conscious investor up to speed as to what is it that you have built? What have you leveraged over the years? We'll start with you. We'll go ladies first.
Well, you want to go? You go.
No, you can go.
All right. So all right. So yeah, definitely I'm probably the one that's more comfortable in front of the camera. But I'd say from the start, we have already created in a short manner of time, a legacy for our family. And, because Sarah and I, we got married back in 2016. We both, held out to the bitter end, and to find the right one, and ultimately we found each other. And so, although we haven't been married for that long, we've done everything possible to be able to create something really special for our family. And we were both very entrepreneurialistic, big word. And we had, even prior to meeting each other, we had already built successful lives as individuals. And what was really nice is that we came together. You always have to have that yin yang with your spouse, your significant other, but also you have to have, I think you have to have a lot of like-mindedness in your desire to achieve. And we certainly have that. I would definitely say her commitment and dedication and determination, it trumps mine every single day. So I'm more trying to catch up with her, but that's, I think two like minds coming together to build something really special. And I think we've done a pretty damn good job. Darn good job starting off. So
you're totally fine. Sarah, what do you think? How you're agreeing with him, or you want to add anything to that?
Oh, no, I totally agree. But I definitely think having two people that are already motivated and going after what they want in life, it's not just like he's doing everything or I'm doing everything. Yes, like when our daughter was, the first few years before preschool, I was with her 24/7, because we weren't going to get that time back. And I wanted to make sure she was being raised right. And then so kind of my career and everything I was doing got put on hold, and I was fine with that. I loved all that time. But then once she got in preschool, it was like, okay, now I'm super motivated, because now I haven't, I was used to working like 2 jobs, 100 hours a week for years on end. And so then all of a sudden it was a very different lifestyle. So once she got into school, it was like back to the grind. And I just want to make everything super successful and work harder and have more success, not just for myself or for us, but so my daughter can see us, working hard and accomplishing things and just having a good life.
I love that. I have to say, I think that moms specifically who have that opportunity to stay at home for those early years, once they go back into the workforce or into contribution in the world in any capacity, even if it's volunteer work, I feel like it unleashes this whole new magnitude of potential. It's like, oh wait, grown-ups, conversation, and I'm so smart and ambitious. I can accomplish all these things.
Well, yeah, and with being a stay-at-home mom, I recently saw something that, because people are like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom to like certain people, right? Oh, it's an easy job. But it was saying it's actually the equivalent of 2.5 full-time jobs. And I was like, yeah, because even though I was at home, that time of my life was very, very busy and I had zero me time, So now it's just balancing it all and trying to grow our businesses while being present for our daughter and all that.
Oh, I echo all of that 1,000,000%. Love it. So as you're involved in a lot of different investments and conscious investor, some of you have heard active investing, passive investing, right? Active investing, meaning I am taking action. I am actually the person, the manpower behind it. I'm moving the needle every single day. And then we have passive investors who come into investments and like, I love my job, or I'm occupied with my other active investments. Here, take this part of, take this capital and grow that for me. And I'm hands-free, right? So we have two different types. And you guys have lots of really cool things going on. I don't want to overstep and say all the cool things you have going on the active side, but if you're comfortable, would you share just some of the active investing that you participate in?
Sure. Yeah, and as you were saying that, I was thinking as far as the mindset behind active versus passive investing, and something about Sarah and I is we were both raised in small towns. I grew up on a 200-acre farm, and she grew up in a small town as well. And we were instilled in us at an early age was hard work, right? Like literally bucking hay for a living and changing irrigation lines and things like that. We didn't know anything other than how to work hard. And I think what happens is that you gravitate towards active investing because your mindset is, I want to do it. Like I only know how to work hard. And so I'm going to be the one hammering the nail and dealing with whatever that is. And so that's really where we started off with our careers as, and ultimately as becoming investors was actively. And so whether it was investing into numerous residential rental properties to, obviously my primary career as a mortgage banker. And so, of course, I always joke, I don't talk much about it, but that's 12 hours a day of my life. And so then trying to find what to do off, to the side in the spare time, so to speak. So in that, spare time, I've got a car wash project that's being developed right now. We should be breaking ground in no time. We're looking to be active investors into assisted living facilities coming soon. And again, all this is, moonlighting, right? When I'm not doing the day job stuff. And then Sarah, who is, Dervish. Does anybody know what that is? Who's that? The whirling dervishes, but she's just a total dynamo when it comes to anything that she does. So I said she's got the Midas touch. Anything she touches turns to gold. And I want to let her talk about that part of it because everything that I'm doing is just a small sample size of what we're doing collectively. So tell them what you're doing.
So I have, when I first went back to work or whatever, I'm still doing, so permanent makeup, so microblading, permanent eyeliner. At first I was worried because I was going back into it up here. We had moved, right? No one knew me. It's like building my whole clientele. So I thought, I don't know, maybe it'll take me 1.5 years to get busy, hopefully fingers crossed. And then within 3 months, I was pretty busy where I was shocked. So, and I think I just have a very different style and it was kind of, it was just something different in the area. So I've been doing that. And then I took on doing permanent jewelry. So hand welded claspless jewelry. Now there's tons of people that do it around here, but I think we just made a name fast for ourselves and, a lifetime guarantee. And we grew really big, really fast. I've hired on people. And now we are actually moving out of a little studio into a 3,000 square foot space that we're redoing.
Okay, that's substantial.
Yeah.
Substantial. And conscious investor, just by nature of being in proximity, although we're an hour and a half apart, Ryan and Sarah and I, in North Idaho and everything, it's amazing that, Sarah's built this amazing reputation that I even know about all the way up here. So, I mean, you were able to accomplish that very quickly. And it's of course, like Ryan's saying, the Midas touch, it's like you just have a way about you, and we've just met here, but it's like it just pours through the screen. So I mean,
I think a lot of it, is definitely like, some people are like, oh, how'd you find success so quick? But it's hard work, and it's working hours that other people wouldn't want to do. And it's why I wake up at, between 1 and 3 a.m. and my mind races for, what else? Oh, I add stuff to my to-do list and stuff. But I'm definitely I'm money motivated, but I'm more than that. Like, I want to create financial freedom. I want to give other people the opportunity to grow, and help out their family and income wise and all that, and make a difference. And we give a portion of all our sales back to charity too. So we're passionate about doing a lot of charity events, and giving back and just making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. And that pours through. That is what the sentiment is, just in, a few people that have mentioned you, it's like, that's what pours out. It's like, sure, you might love the money element of it, but what people are receiving on it is, just your heart, your care, your passion, everything that pours through. So
yeah, making people feel good. And, that's my one thing. I love when they step in. It doesn't matter even if it's like my 92-year-old client who I microblade, like I want her leaving and feeling like $1 million, and just bringing like light to her day.
I love this. Okay. 2 highly driven, super ambitious professionals, right? Like, how do you navigate that while raising a beautiful daughter? Like, how are you leveraging this part of life, this window of time where there are so many different things pulling you in different directions, and yet this is a time to be making this special foundation for a family? How does that materialize?
So it was certainly an adjustment for me, because again, I've been used to literally work even more like 14 and 16-hour days. And obviously, back before Sarah and I met, it was literally that was just my thing, was, work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard. Finally, after 48 years on the planet, it's like, all right, working smart, that actually is probably better, and I'll live longer. And so that's, again, that's been a bit of a challenge, right? Where I'll constantly find myself, here at 7:30 at night. Oh, maybe I should probably clock out now, type of a thing, because there's so much to do. And so really I attribute our success in raising our daughter, Ray, to Sarah. And because she's really been the catalyst behind that. And I don't know how she finds the ability to do it, but she just does. And I've just had epiphanies as we've gone along, where I'm realizing, I don't want to say it negatively like mortality, but I just realize that time is limited for all of us. And so I've just tried to practice just being better at spending time with my family, and being present for our daughter as she grows up, and being there for those important events and everything else. But still, I owe it to Sarah, because she, again, I just don't know how she does it.
Yeah, I find that you just have to, making time, being present. I saw something like, at the end of the day, when kids are grown up, they're not going to remember who worked late or whatever. They're going to remember who made time for them. And I saw that. And then I saw a thing too about, like, when you're on your phone or whatever, it's almost a form of rejection to like a spouse or a child, right? You want their attention. And that was like a couple of weeks ago. And so it's just putting the phone down more, being more present, and then making that time. So making my mornings with her, I take Mondays off because that's her horseback riding day. And it's like, get off the phone, work's still going to be there, make those times. And then it's just little things like yesterday, I told the babysitter, hey, can you bring her to my work at like 3:30? Because she loves watching me do jewelry. So I was fine with her being there, and she loves it. And then I brought her by my new space because I had to go hand off some money. And I was like, let's go get gelato, and just making that time. And so we parked the car and took a walk, and then she wanted to eat it. So it's just like little things. I mean, yeah, there's family vacations, but it's making like little amounts of time, each day, and just like fully being there, like playing baseball with her outside. Ryan was working with her the other night, and then she's like, "Mommy, will you help?" I'm like, "Yeah, let me turn the stuff on the stove down." You know what I mean? Who cares? Like, it takes a couple minutes, but like those are the things they remember. So it's just balancing work and trying to grow a business, but also having that quality time. And I think even if it's shorter amounts of time, making it, all about the quality and really being present makes up for having larger like periods of time where you're not really present.
I love that concept of presence. It's something that depending on what's taking place in my business at a given point, it can be so challenging to set that phone aside and just be like, no, I can sit here and watch, your show with you, but I'm going to be on my phone. And my kids will actually tell me, they're 14 and 12 at this point of recording. And it's like, they'll tell me, put the phone away and, just put the phone away, Mom. It's like, oh my gosh. Sometimes I'll just say, will you just go take the phone and plug it in my room, or get it away from me, please? Like, just help Mom get away from it.
I think we're all teaching each other in a sense, but because it's really interesting that we are so tied to technology. And Sarah will tell you, like, I'm the worst at it, where she'll have to tell me sometimes as I'm gravitating away from the work evening and still working with that device just stuck to my fingers, where it'll be a point where she'll have to say, I have something to tell you. Are you listening? And I'll have to put the phone down, because if she doesn't do that, I'll say, you didn't give me the warning. And I wasn't really listening because you told me something and I totally forgot, right? But also too with our daughter, because she gets so comfortable in front of an iPad or things at times where we've had to make a conscious effort to pull that away from her and say, go play with your toys, go play out in the yard, right? Go, throw mud, whatever, like go have fun doing things that aren't in front of that. And it's a reminder to us, hey, we have to lead by example. So we have to get ourselves out from in front of a screen to be able to be, present.
It is an interesting and unique challenge. And I think, just not to go belabor this concept too much, on tech, but we're navigating it. We're really the first generation navigating this whole, new age that we live in. And so I kind of give myself a little bit of grace on that. I'm like, this is new. I've never been a parent, and nobody has parented with technology of this scale before. So, we're going to fail forward. We're going to come out. It's going to be okay.
I'm constantly reminded of our future demise every time I open up Chat GPT. And I'm like, I feel like I'm sealing my fate right now as I'm typing to Chat GPT to tell me what to say, right? So.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. I was literally telling my daughter on the way to school this morning, I'm like, yeah, so you and your brother really need to be up to speed on this whole AI. It's the last day of school. I'm like, you really need to learn about this AI. It's going to be something you're living with and dealing with. So
hopefully not fighting against. That's what I cross my fingers for. So
hopefully not Skynet.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I know that the three of us love what we do career-wise. And I mean, I don't consider myself like, oh, I work all the time. Yes, I work. I get it. I work, but I love what I do genuinely. And the fire has not ever tamped down one bit over the years that I've been in real estate. It's like, that's my heart, my soul, and everything that we can do. And I get that sentiment from the two of you. I don't think anybody works so hard just because they're addicted to work. It's like there has to be that marriage of, yes, I have great, strong work ethics, but I'm passionate about what it is I'm pursuing. So you have the active investments and you're actively building these amazing businesses, and establishing them. And Ryan, you've had an established business that you were able to even move, which is amazing, to accomplish that. That does take effort. It's not, I don't think it's as easy as everyone thinks it is. It's like I'm changing geography, and although I can still work in that same vicinity, but reestablishing myself in a whole new space it takes a lot of bandwidth. So kudos and props to you on that. You've transitioned into your very first passive investment, and I wanted to touch on that because we've already, like, the hallmark moment, we're all ambitious people. So what was it about passive investing that caught your eye, that opportunity?
So it was kind of just a divine scenario, if you will, where, and it's what's interesting about this whole thing is that, because I knew we were going to talk about this, is that, I've been in finance for 23 years, and it's a long time. And I would like to say that when it comes to a lot of financial related matters, that humbly speaking, that I feel like I'm an expert at it, because I daily try to master my craft and just really educate myself on everything that's there. But passive investing, and especially in the like multifamily real estate, it's one of those things where I've always been on the outside looking in. And I've been to, like, I went to one of Brad Sumrock's Rat Race to Retirement years and years ago. My mind was blown when I just saw 800 people in a room, and like they were talking about these deals, and they were just so massive. It's just hard to comprehend. It's when you're talking multi-million-dollar, 10, 20, $30 million type acquisition type scenarios. And you're just like, wow, like this is just so above my head type of a thing, when in actuality it's not. And it took a while, because that was, gosh, when did I go to Texas? That was like 5 years ago.
Longer than that, because it was well before Ray.
So several years ago was when I was really kind of immersed into this, and still didn't do anything, right? Remained totally passive, like no pulse, passive. And then we get, fast forward, it really kind of, this was a prime opportunity to, I don't want to say cannonball in, but definitely, jump into the water. First was meeting you, right? And learning more about your story and your passion and your expertise in it. And I think one of the things that was really nice is that you have your educational background, you have a welcoming demeanor. And so there's kind of very, guard is down, and allow somebody with 23 years of finance experience to come in and say, I don't know what the hell's going on here, right? And not feel like embarrassed, right? And so it was really just that, was meeting you and just constantly learning more and more as time went on, to finally where it was, when an opportunity presented itself, thanks to you, it was, okay, this is too good to be true, right? Like this, and then the opportunity in that investment was something that we were already engaged in. That was weird, right? When I was like, okay, well, if all this, something's telling me, just like the car wash thing had a similar story, all these things came together, and I'm like looking up, I'm like, okay, well, if I don't accept this sign, I'm an idiot. So here we are.
It was really funny when we passed, the emails, and I thought you already knew about the asset class that I was and I'm like, wait a second, you had no idea. And It really is. It's going to be exciting in my humble opinion. I'm really excited to see like how this opens your eyes to the possibilities, and how it can, like, we can work as hard as we want to work, and we can like grow over here. And I think that there's like this decompression that happens for a lot of investors, and they realize that I would say I'm a recovering control freak, and I'm not a workaholic, but I just love what I do. And so, like, I'm a conversation addict. I literally was at this event recently, and I just said I needed to get to bed, because there was like a whole, multiple days, and I left this conversation, and I said, hey, you know what? I love y'all, but I'm a conversation addict. And so I need to just step away, or I will not go away. And see you later. So it's interesting when we see what happens when we do relinquish. Do you feel, I just have to ask this, does it feel like relinquishing a high level of control that you would rather have? So let's talk about that element, because.
Good question. So very similarly in my business, which also, and I think when you have this type of mindset, we're all control freaks, right? Because when it comes to your level of success, we're also talking reputation. We're talking about the quality of the whatever it is that we are delivering, whether it's a product or a service. And so you have to be a control freak, like everything's on the line. And to recover from that, especially when you're in an industry or business where you need to be able to scale, it's a challenge. It is a big challenge. Like you call it the recovery and addiction too. And I'm sure it's probably just as difficult as recovering from some kind of a drug addiction or whatever. It's hard. And so I've been working over the last few years to relinquish control in my mortgage practice, to be able to empower others on my team, to be able to help me scale. Otherwise, I'll never grow any further. And it's been really difficult, but it's been working. I'm getting better at it every day. So I'm proud to say I get little badges, and so with this, it's kind of similar. I think that the timing of it was perfect because we have so much on our plate that it was almost kind of a forced scenario where we had to be forced to be okay with it because there's no room on the plate, right? It's like, this is the time to do it. Let's do it now, because otherwise I'm going to want to take control of something. I'm like, I'm good. Like, we got too much going on over here, so I'm good. And one thing to note about the reason behind all of it, and this is something that I'll teach a lot of my clients through our fiscal literacy and everything else, is I think a lot of the general public doesn't realize, or they believe that the typical 10% rate of return that you're going to get with the stock market or the historic 8% S&P, so on and so forth, like that's your lot in life, right? Is that if anything, you put your money into a 401k, you do anything else there. And if you're, average, you're going to get a 10% rate of return. But what they don't realize is that, and why the rich tend to get richer, is because that's a minimum expectation. Is there are opportunities out there that can achieve a 20% rate of return very safely, very consistently. That's next level type stuff. And so we're just grateful to be a part of an opportunity like that. And we don't have any room on the plate. So take it.
Yeah, take it and run. It's interesting. There is definitely an investor mindset that comes along with this type of investing. And sometimes I get to see that. And I'm sure that you have both experienced this in like everything that you do, Sarah. I mean, you see people grow and progress in their, ability to probably, oh, well, I want to add jewelry into my life. I want to add these other services and things, right? Like people grow and evolve, in any capacity where they step in. And it's interesting when you have someone that has that fixed, like 8 to 10% traditional mentality. And it's like, no, there's this other opportunity. And sometimes they'll see it, but they'll just snap right back into that. Oh no, but it has to be here. It's like, no, but you really can. You're not going to catch up on your retirement. Like you're going to have to think outside the box if you're going to catch up on your retirement, or if you're going to actually build that legacy type retirement that you want in your life. So interesting.
Yeah, you can't get anywhere just operating off, by the status quo. And that's hence what Sarah and her business, she's taken a huge leap of faith in, taking down this large commercial, building, essentially acting as her own GC, while simultaneously, obviously, raising our daughter and cooking dinners and being full-time phenomenal wife and all that. But to your point is that if she were just to accept the norm, she would still be working in a studio and maybe never being able to scale or grow. But she's taking these massive risks in what she's doing, because number one, she'll always bet on herself, and I'll always bet on her too. That's going to be a winner every time. But the work and everything that goes behind it and that effort that goes into it is, she's going to succeed with this massive investment, and it's going to be far more than the norm.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I bet on you too, Sarah.
Thank you.
I believe in you. So, you conscious investor, we're gonna start wrapping up here. One of the things that I want to point out is that Ryan has a lot of financial literacy. You mentioned that, and one of the elements I loved when you spoke at the Conscious Investor Growth Day last March, the way you were able to break down the thinking, and it was just so eye-opening. You were one of the presenters. I was excited about everybody speaking, but I was really excited to hear how you were going to present, interest rates and the forecast for for what's going to happen within housing and finance and such. And so I really appreciated your perspective of saying like, hey, I know everybody in the news wants to focus on this little tiny blip on the radar, but let's just let's go back. Let's get a macro view and let's really look at this. I know conscious investors really appreciate knowledge and learning and being empowered. Where can they access all things Ryan financial literacy?
So thanks for that. As far as accessing, I have our social channels that I shared with you. A lot of this stuff now, because you have to. You got to keep up with the Joneses, and I'm not going to say that I even have a TikTok account now. I hope I never do. But Instagram is where a lot of it is. Now, also, too, what we're coming out with is a lot of these webinar platform style educational classes where the webinar the presentation I put on at Conscious Investor and all of the others, putting it into this pre-recorded webinar where we'll start offering those to the public as well, where it's like, hey, this is free for everyone. And hopefully the knowledge that you gain from it will be impactful and empowering you in your life. So I'll start having that come out soon as well, where we'll be able to get those, links out and people can just, watch every single presentation I've ever done in a webinar style format.
Are you going to use AI to accomplish that?
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't use it for some reasons, but
it's such a powerful resource. Conscious Investor, I want to encourage you. All the links to, Ryan and Sarah will be down in the show notes. So if you want living inspiration in your life, like make sure that you follow them on the social platforms. And that way, as soon as Ryan is like, hey, I have this webinar, it's available, you're going to see it right away. And my goodness, you're like, follow Sarah, because you're going to see all of just this inspiration of, a rock star in action and someone who's really tackling it all and doing it with grace, finesse, and high levels of success. And I can't think of not having that in my life, not having those type of role models that you can surround yourself with. It will help you level up. And as we're talking about that thinking, where it's like, okay, are you thinking, in an old way, or are you thinking and moving and advancing, evolving into a more empowered, evolved way of thinking and approaching life? I just want to thank you so much for joining me on The Conscious Investor. And Sarah, anything else would you like to add? Anything else that we missed that you think is really important?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's just, I think you have to step outside your comfort zone and try new things. A lot of people, even my best friend from college, it's like, she can't even get her toes outside that comfort zone. So even thinking about investing or doing, it's just living like day to day. But I think you have to have like an overall image in your head, or what do you want out of life? And then your goals, right? And then how are you going to get there? You can't just say you want something and then have like no plan of action to get there. So I think it's just making that conscious effort and decision every day to like go after your dreams and your goals and not get kind of sidetracked or just give up because things get tough, times get tough.
It does get tough. Yeah. What do you do, Sarah? How do you handle the toughness? Like for me, I always try to reposition it, reframe it in my mind. I'm like, it's just a challenge, or it's just this, like, because I've gone through it so many times that like, what's your backstop when things?
Honestly, sometimes I'm not very good at dealing with it, and it's this one talking reason, right? Like before, right when I signed, right for this 3,000 square foot space, all of a sudden I'm like, wait. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because I do so well on my own. Now I'm gonna have all these other people to pay and to do and all this. I don't know if I'm making the right decision. And I couldn't like get out of my head. So then it's like him listing pros and cons, which we never even got to the pros and cons because it was just talking reason into me. Sometimes I can take a little step back and figure it out on my own. But most of the time it's like, I'm not really good at that, if I'm being honest. And it's just having someone else that can talk reason into me. And, because in my mind, I'm just seeing a big jumbled mess and I'm not sure how I'm going to get out of it. Right. And so it's just breaking it down and then putting in that plan of action again. But usually it comes from this one, helping me reason and talk through it and not lose my mind.
Oh, I love that. That's the power of having, a strong spouse and partner in your life. I always figure if I'm not scared, if I green light something, and if I don't feel a little bit of that fray immediately, I'm like, maybe I'm playing too safe. Maybe, maybe there's usually that day. I usually have a day of freak out, like, oh my gosh, I said yes. So now I just like literally just kind of plan a day. Like, oh, I'm making a decision. I just know the next day I'm probably going to be a little scattered. It's okay. You'll come out on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be able to step back and take a look at those things. Because for her, again, it's, as she mentioned, we don't even have to get into very far of any type of an analysis, because sometimes it's just so easy to get somebody back in the right mindset by reminding them the reasons why they got to this step in the first place is because you are strong enough, you are smart enough, you are worthy. Sounds like daily affirmations or something. Saturday Night Live. But you got this far because you were willing to bet on yourself, and you are absolutely capable of doing all these things. So what's changed between yesterday and today? Nothing's changed, just up in here. And so, she gets back into that right frame of mind right away. And now she's off to, getting ready to crush it.
So excited. Thank you again for joining us on the Conscious Investor Growth Day. Conscious Investor, wow, how about I'm just stuck in growth day. I'm in growth mode right now.
Growth day forever.
We're talking about growth right here. So I'm just like, let's just go there. Thank you for joining me on the Conscious Investor podcast. Yeah. And Conscious Investor, thank you for joining us for this episode. I know this conversation is going to support you and your spouse or partner in life. And these type of conversations are unique, rare, and special when we can have other couples just, pulling things back, letting us see, and hear what's going on and how they're approaching it. So, if your spouse isn't listening to the show, just share this episode. If it's been inspiring to you and encouraging, make sure you leave that rating and review. And most importantly, make sure you go follow and connect up with Ryan and Sarah so that you're just infusing your life and your world with more power and goodness in it. Until next time, live big, love bigger, and do great things.
What's the big deal about investing in apartments? Why is it better than investing in a slew of single-family homes? I've compiled a lot of information on why investing in a multifamily, also known as apartments, will help you reach your investment goals. Head over to 3keysinvestments.com and download the Why Invest in Multifamily guide today.